If you have a strap and a block, go ahead and grab one. There's a couple of different places where we could use it. If not, you just do what you can do or whatever. Like you just go back to like the normal variation, but there's a couple of spots if you guys have a block and a strap. Let yourself comfortably go all the way down onto your mat. I always like to start off with several really good deep breaths because this gives us a chance to calm and connect. So let a few of those deep breaths flow all the way in and out. Today, there's some optional advanced variations that we're going to travel through, but the biggest thing I want us to connect with is this calm right in this moment. Sometimes when I throw out optional variations, you can start to see the energy go up to their head and they get more frazzled. My intention, my thought is to help us calm down, slow down, and build it up from the basics. The title for the class today is Reinventing the Wheel, and we're building up to wheel pose and some other fun back bends. But know that this is simply us reinventing the wheel from where we're at. So if we don't have the supplies to build this ginormous 10-foot tall wheel, metaphorically speaking, maybe we start off with an inch wheel, like a little Lego wheel or something, very small, but yet we can still, from that very foundational area, build up the steps that we need to get stronger, to get more aligned, to get more plugged in with our joints so that the muscles are strong enough and limber enough to one day maybe get a little bit closer or a little bit bigger with our wheel. And so we're gonna get warmed up right away today. Let's start off with our knees coming into the chest. Pick that kind moment for you to just simply rock around. Be with the back, be with the hips. And then planting the feet down, we grab our block, and then our block is placed in between our thighs. This gives us an opportunity to squeeze into the block. So inner thighs are engaged. From that position, let's begin rising up into bridge pose. So lift up the hips and then roll up one vertebrae at a time and lower back down one at a time. We're going to repeat that several times here, starting to build up some of the strength of the glutes in the back. And ultimately, if you do come up to the full wheel pose during our class today, this is the motion that gets us started into wheel pose. Every time I start to get into that position, it's a little moment where I engage, I lift the hips, and then my hands are able to press everything else to lift up. So repeating a few more times, rolling up and rolling down. Follow your breath and try to move slowly enough that you do feel the pearl necklace of your back rolling up and then pressing down, one of those pearls at a time. It's not just kind of dropping the necklace down to the ground, it's rolling it up by pulling one strand up at a time. Let's take 3 more sets. Make sure you're still squeezing into the block. Good. After that 3rd set, grab your block, lift the hips back up, and slide the block under your hips. You're going to try to get the block as high as you are comfortable with. So for some people, that is the low height of the block. Some people can go up to medium. If you can stand going all the way up to the tall height, you're welcome to take that variation. And begin to let the muscles of the back get used to this position. Perhaps it's possible to clasp the hands. This would be clasping right past the block. If so, walk your shoulder blades under. If you can't quite reach the hands, perhaps walk the feet in a little bit closer to the hands and try to grab onto the heels. This gives us something to work toward. And rather than just letting the heart drop down, see if you can keep on lifting the heart up. Expanding it even more, getting it used to this back bend shape. And then from here, keep the left foot down, right leg starts to reach up to the sky. This is starting to open up the hamstrings while we're still letting this back expand and open. And plant this right foot, left foot gets its chance to stretch through the muscles. Beautiful. Drop the left foot down, lift the hips off the block. And then keep the hips lifted just a little bit higher. Keep on expanding upward, trying to arch through the whole spine. Imagine that you're squeezing your inner thighs into the block again, even though it's not physically there. Take one more good inhale. And exhale, roll all the way back down to the ground. Take the right shin into the chest so that we can cradle it out. One hand on the foot, one hand on the knee, or slide a little bit deeper to the forearm or elbow. Rock this right hip out, starting to loosen up this joint. Drop this right ankle onto left thigh, threading arms around the left side, pull it in, a deep opening. And then release the hands, drop the left foot back down to the ground. Slide the right knee into a deeper cross over the left knee. And from there, tilt the knees over to the left. Spiraling the spine to open. As we're going into back bends, it requires the back muscles and also the vertebrae to be a little bit more mobile. So here we're encouraging that mobility to continue to take place for us. Okay, when hips are turned back down, plant the right foot, cradle out the left, and maybe rock that cradled leg out a few times. When you're ready, drop this ankle onto the right thigh, thread around it, pulling it in. This is opening the left hip. Release, dropping the right foot down. Slide the left knee to cross more tightly, and then the knees fall over to the right. As the hips are turned back down, uncross the legs, slide the feet long. Inhale, reach up overhead. Exhale, try to roll up one vertebrae at a time to stretch over both legs, helping to open up hamstrings very nicely. Rising up, switch it into cobbler's pose. Very good. From here, coming right around to a nice kneeling position. Let's start to move through our vertebrae, rounding up and down. Just follow the speed of your own breath, kind of like the bridge pose. No need to rush it, but feel the vertebrae opening for you. Deeper and deeper as we go in both directions. That's very key to make sure the whole spine remains healthy for us. Take 2 more good sets, whatever speed that looks like. Beautiful. Then from here, we find ourselves in a nice plank or kneeling plank. We're going to do 10 pulses to help start warming up the arms. Remember, as we're lowering down, the elbows are not going wide. Instead, they're tucking back into the side ribs. So when you're ready, we lower down. 10, press up. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Now to start warming up the vertebrae, to prepare for some back bends, we're going to slide our chest forward and through. We start off in a nice child pose, hips sinking back. And then we come with our weight a little bit forward. As soon as we can, we drop our chest down to the ground, slither forward and through, rise up to cobra, or as deep as feels good, sinking right back into child's pose. Once again, take this nice and slow, no need to rush it, but try to slither the heart through on the ground. That helps to warm up the arms, and then leading right up into that nice heart opener. Good. If possible at all, as you go slithering forward, again, rather than going elbows wide, try to keep it all tucked in as much as you possibly can. It takes a while to build up that arm strength, but that's why we do these repetitions. And no need to rush it through. Let's take 3 more rounds. Going forward and through. 3. 2. And the last one, slow motion. Try to go as slow as you can possibly maintain. And 1. Good. Rest the forehead down in child's pose. Give the arms a moment with a break. Coming back forward to plank or kneeling plank. This time we lower all the way to the ground. Walk the elbows right underneath the shoulders. This prepares us for our first variation of stretching the thighs, the quad muscles. So slide the right hand in. Left hand tries to grab left toes. If you can't quite make that connection, this is the first place where you can use that strap. Simply wrap the strap around the foot, reach back, and help to pull it in. Now, whichever variation you're at, try to see if you can pull it in so much, perhaps the elbow can lift up. This helps to rotate the shoulder down, and what that does is it starts warming up some of those inner muscles of that shoulder, helping to make it possible to reach up overhead eventually when we're taking the wheel pose. Take one more breath right here. And then as we release, go right into the right side, pulling it in. Once again, this is just about as much about the quad as it is about the shoulder opening up. Okay, beautiful efforts. From here, we're going to try to reach both hands to grab onto both feet. If that's not happening, once again, take the strap, and you can even kind of roll over to the side if you need to get it set up. But take the strap around both feet, and then each hand will grab onto an end of the strap. Either way, whether you're using the strap or your hands, you form that connection and we rise up into a beautiful bow pose. So the feet kick into the strap or the hands. This lifts the heart up. Once again, try to keep the knees squeezing together as if we had the block right there. We're holding a few extra breaths. Try to push the feet even harder. One more inhale. And exhale, release. Let the right cheek rest down onto the ground. We're taking a break for a few moments. In just a moment, I'm going to give you an additional variation. Either stick with exactly what you just did a moment ago, or I'll show you the one more opportunity to make it just a little bit more advanced. But let the body relax for 3 more good breaths. Okay, after those 3 breaths, you're going to start setting up your strap again if you used it. Or you can start grabbing onto your feet if that's the variation that you took. For a moment here, I'll show you the last variation and then we'll all go into it together. If you're doing the last variation, you do want the strap. What you do is you take each end of the strap over your shoulders, so each hand has the end of the strap. From there, you start walking your elbows forward so that you're in a comfortable position with the hands gripping up overhead. You begin to push the feet into the strap and then push the arms to lift everything up. It's essentially wheel pose, just flipped on the belly. Okay? So start getting whatever variation set up. This one does require there to be a longer strap, and I know not all straps come in the same size. I think the size I have is 8 feet. So if you can't quite reach up overhead, just go to the variation you did a little while ago. If you're with me on this one, get it set up. And then whatever style we're taking it at, let's begin to kick the feet into the strap or the hands and find a lift. Trying to go for 5 good breaths. Keep squeezing inner thighs together. One more inhale. Exhale, completely release everything. Set the strap down. Take a nice child pose. Child pose and other forward folds are super key today to help make sure that we're introducing our spine into stretches to both directions. Okay, you're welcome to stay a little bit longer, or at any point when you're ready for downward facing dog. Lift up to that beautiful shape. Begin to pedal things out. Little movements to help free and loosen up the body. And stay in this down dog as long as it's helpful for your body. It feels like you're still receiving all the benefits of it. The moment it becomes more tiring than helpful, that's when we start to work our way up to the top of the mat and just enjoy a normal forward fold. From here, take your next inhale to rise. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. And with this next thing, the sequence that we're playing with, you can have a block in front of you in case you might want it. And we're going to have our strap. The first thing we do is head towards some stretches that build us up toward dancer's pose. Again, opening that heart. And then there's a fun strap variation to help lead us into a really fun forward fold. You'll be with me in just a moment. So we're starting off with our right foot coming behind us. And by the way, if you need to be close to a wall so you can grab onto it, that's always fine. You can set that up. But the right toes go into the strap, and then we swing that strap behind us. We're starting off with just a simple quadricep stretch. And so you're welcome to, grab on with your hand, or just hold on to that strap. You do want the right thigh to be stretching. So if that means that you point the knee backwards a little bit, sometimes that's what it takes to get there. Okay, as we're heading toward dancer's pose, you're either gripping onto the strap with a nice straight arm and kicking forward, or king dancer, trying to grip both arms up overhead again, and then leaning forward as you kick the foot into the strap. So find the variation that'll work for you. You only have to stay about 3 or 4 breaths. Good. As you start to release out of it, take this right foot still in the strap around the front. The right foot is plugged up as close as you can get to the left hip, and the right knee tries to drop down. If this is not happening this high, drop it a little bit closer to the knee, and that's okay. This is the fun variation that happens here. The strap is going to help us so that we can wrap the right hand around the back and grab the strap. Or if you were able to get your foot super high, maybe you can grab the right hand onto the right toes from behind. So either way, with the strap or with your hand, we're going to try to make our way into a forward fold, landing left hand on the block. Or if you still want more, left hand to the ground. Feel yourself release that low back, giving it nice recovery, rounding through the spine. And then we drop the hand, the right hand, drop the right foot. We're in a normal forward fold for just a few more breaths. The next inhale helps us rise. Exhale down to the heart. Grabbing onto the strap, we play with the left foot this time. So hook the middle of the strap around the left foot. This first one's just the quad stretch. So using strap or hand on the foot, take it to the place where your knee is slightly back or your hips and tailbone scoop under, whatever you need to do to feel the front of the left thigh stretching. Okay, good work. From here, you're either gripping onto the strap from underneath for normal dancer, or setting it up over your shoulder, both arms grabbing on and walking closer to the foot above for king dancer. When you have your grip set, begin to kick the foot into the strap, taking your variation 3 or 4 good breaths. Good. Rising up, see if you can still maintain your balance as you swing this strap with the foot around, trying to take the left foot in front of the right hip or as high up as you can get it. Once you're there, left hand comes around your back, either grabbing onto the strap or grabbing onto the foot itself. Left knee is trying to point as far down as it can get. Feel your balance. You can even use the wall again. When you have your balance, right hand begins to drop to the block or perhaps the floor. Good. Release the hand, release the foot. We're in a nice forward fold, completely relaxing the spine. With the next inhale, we rise. Exhale, hands down to the heart. If you're not at the top of your mat, make your way there. We take one little flow here. So inhale, circle up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands drop down. Step walker, jump to plank. Lower chaturanga. A nice arch to the spine. And a downward facing dog. Maybe the legs still want to pedal out at this point in class. Good. We're going to make our way all the way down onto our glutes and then rolling safely down onto our backs. This is our first chance to practice our wheel pose. And so each time we take wheel pose, we're going to add in different variations so that you can play with different things to help us out as we're heading into it. So the first thing that I would just like to build awareness of is the pressing of the hands down into the ground while the heart is lifting up. So we're going to practice a bridge pose with that variation, and it's almost like a little meditation. So whether or not you can do bridge pose, it's okay, but you're going to place your hands palm down right past the shoulders, the elbows pointing up, and then lift the hips up into bridge pose. From here, almost like a little meditation, hands push into the ground, heart lifts up. Hands push into the ground, shoulders plug in, heart lifts. Shoulders press in, heart lifts. The shoulder idea, go ahead and lower your hips down. The shoulder idea is that your shoulder joint is like a little socket, and the humerus, that arm muscle, plugs right into the socket. So we're trying to feel that connection. So trying to bring it right into the socket rather than expanding the arm away from it. For instance, if I'm reaching up to the sky and then I lift my arms up, that's taking it away from the socket. Instead, we're plugging it back down into the ground. Okay? So to help us feel that even more, let's plant the elbows at our sides. Hands are just placing upright, and do the same thing. So shoulders plug into the socket and heart lifts up. We're going to use this as a simple meditation for a few moments. So shoulders plug in, heart lifts up. Shoulders plug in, heart lifts up. It's almost like we're trying to find more of a back bend under our heart. So it's as if somebody could slide their hand right under that space. So take another 5 breaths. Shoulders plug in, heart lifts up. Okay, release that arch for just a good breath or two. And then planting the hands back to the ground, you're either going to practice that bridge pose, trying to keep the shoulders plugged in and the heart lifting up, or you're going to join me for a full wheel pose. Once you've lifted up to the full wheel pose, you're going to do the same thing. Shoulders plug in, heart lifts up. So that's kind of our mantra for the next minute or two, whether you're in bridge pose or full wheel. Okay, so setting up hands right by the shoulders, lift the hips up to bridge, and maybe continue to lift all the way up into wheel. Shoulders plug in, heart lifts up. Shoulders plug in, heart lifts up. Repeat it to your mind 3 more times. Great job, lowering all the way down. Let yourself just roll your fingertips in circles right above you. If we were dancing the flamenco, these would be like floreos, just beautiful circles that our hands can trace. Trying to flower into a beautiful blossom. Good. So from here, slide the feet long. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, try to roll up with control, 1 vertebrae at a time. Rolling up and over our legs. Feel the whole back have leg through that side of it. And then rising up to staff pose. Now we take the same leg stretch that we did while standing. You're welcome to use the strap again. We start with our right foot crossing on top of this left thigh, trying to get the foot as close to the hip as we possibly can. If you need the strap, you hook the strap around the toes, and then right hand can go around the back to grab the strap. From there, we circle the left arm up to the sky, get a nice lift to the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Beautiful. Rising back up, switch the legs out. So now right leg is long, left heel tries to get right up to the right hip. Maybe use the strap. Either way, left hand circles around the back to connect. Right hand reaches up to the sky, long spine. Inhale, exhale, forward fold. Okay, release, rise up, come to a simple cross-legged shape. Grab your strap and we're going to set it up in a little circle. So feed the end of the strap through the loops. If you have the same kind of buckle as me, then you'll feed it back through the last one to create a locked position where the circle won't come apart when you start to put pressure into it. So what you're going to do is try to set it up to a good distance where when you bring it right above the elbow joint, your arms are sticking out right out from the shoulders. So it's that nice shoulder distance for the elbows. So get it set up, make sure it doesn't come loose when you put some pressure outward into the strap. And then from here, to help get some more of that shoulder awareness, we're going to simply lift the arms up overhead. Make sure your strap clears your head, otherwise bump it up just a little bit, and then lower it back down. The awareness we're trying to build is that when it's up overhead, our shoulders are plugging in rather than just hiking the shoulders up to the ears. So plug them down and then arch back. Good. Drop the shoulders down. You'll notice that the shoulders start to get warm after just a few cycles of this. Take a nice inhale with the rise, exhale with the lower. Add a little bit of strength too. Push into the loop. So inhales, exhales. Let's take 3 more sets. Keep on pushing into it, warming up the shoulders. When the arms are up overhead, plug the shoulders in and then lower down. 2. And 1. Beautiful. Leave it set up just like this, but we're going to take a downward facing dog to then work our way back up to standing. So just set it off for now. Take that down dog, lift the hips up high. Feel the spine still feeling good, still recovering. Nice gentle opening that we've gotten. When you feel ready, walking your way up to the top of the mat, we end up in a nice forward fold. Inhale, circle up to the sky. Hands meet down at the heart. Good. From here, we grab onto the strap with this loop, and we find ourselves at a wall or at a door. What we're going to do at this wall or the door, placing the strap back where it was, close to the elbows. We're going to stand a little bit in front of your wall or door and begin to reach the arms up overhead and feel yourself gently arching the whole spine until fingertips can touch the wall. If it's too easy the first time, that might mean that you're a little bit too close to the wall. So come back up, step just an inch or two forward. And remember, this is not about just the low back collapsing. There's an entire lift through the whole spine so that even the rib cage is arching with you. Again, if it's too easy, walk another inch forward. And you'll notice that point where the arch suddenly turns into collapse. And that's the point where, okay, that was slightly too much. When you find a good amount, take 3 or 4 good breaths in and out. Good, and then dropping the hands down, feel yourself round all the way down into that forward fold. Okay, dropping down to your knees. We're still close to our wall or our door. We've got one more pose in this position. We're going to build up one step at a time from one pose to the next. So I'll walk you through it. If we can make the first pose, this is dolphin pose. Pretty much everybody I know that can do, come to the ground can usually do dolphin pose. So that's the first variation. The second variation will be coming up, kicking our way up onto the wall for a forearm stand. And then the third variation will be to start tucking our toes from the forearm stand, walking them down as we arch our spine. This is building us up toward a scorpion pose. So we've got three variations: dolphin, forearm stand, or scorpion. And I'll walk us through one at a time. If you need to just watch me too, and then come back into it, that's perfectly fine. I'll give us some time. Even if I come out before you, I'll give us some time. Now we are keeping our strap this time right above the elbows so that we can plant the elbows down. The aid of the strap is that it makes it so immediately when we pop up, we're not just sacrificing the shoulders. A lot of people have tight shoulders and they don't realize it, but as soon as you start bringing weight over the body, the tight shoulders make them pop outward. What happens there is that we lose all the strength of the geometry of the shape. So we use the strap to help keep the engagement, keep the strength right where it's at. This builds us up so that eventually we can press off the ground from the bow pose when we're on our back. Okay? So no matter which variation we're taking, we're facing the wall. Our fingertips plant just an inch or so away from the wall. The whole arms are straight and parallel to one another. So the whole palm is down, fingers spread super wide. And then from here, we take the first variation, dolphin pose. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, start to walk in. No need to go further. If this is enough, stay until you need to drop down to child pose. Second variation, we kick up to the wall, forearm stand. And if you're doing third variation, start to tuck the toes down. It's almost like you're trying to nail at the wall. As you arch the heart forward and the toes step back, you're building up to that scorpion pose. So if you were watching me, I'll give you a little bit more time. Keep on going until it feels like that was happy for you. And then you'll meet me in a nice child's pose. Okay, good efforts. We're done with our strap for now. You can come back onto your mat if you are away. And then we're going to make our way down onto our backs. We've got one last optional full wheel pose. With this variation, we're going to go back to the beginning where we stuck the block in our inner thighs. And so whether we're lifting up to bridge pose and enjoying that lift and that gentle strengthening, or whether we press all the way up into the full wheel pose, we're going to try to keep this block squeezing together. If you drop the block, you have to gently come down and then come back into it. So the reason why we have the block here is because when we tend to take back bends, our body can get into it a little bit more easily if the knees are super wide, because that changes the alignment of the hips and that makes it so that, rather than the back having to arch so much, the hips kind of take it out of it. And so some people will get into that because it's easier, but in order to actually build up that flexibility in the spine to lift higher, we need to keep the hips in that good alignment. So find the block, squeeze it in your inner thighs, keep that engagement going, And even if you're in the simple bridge pose, you are welcome to still keep hands right by your shoulders and practice plugging the shoulders in, arching the heart up so that you're getting those feelings in your body. Now we're going to lift up. Start by lifting hips into bridge. Maybe you stay there. Maybe you lift up to the crown of your head and then press all the way up. Keep squeezing blocks together. Arch the heart up. Squeeze shoulders, plugging them in. Take 3 more breaths wherever you are. And then we can gently lower down. Roll the wrists out. And here you've got 2 variations. Either slide the block under your hips and float the legs up for a nice gentle variation of plow pose, or we'll start to head up toward the full plow pose. A lot of people have to come into plow by rolling back and then sliding your hands at your hips before you can start to extend the legs. I personally like to come into it from bridge pose. So if I can lift my hips up high enough that I can slide my elbows right under my hips, my palms kind of stacked right underneath the hips, it's all lifted like a shelf, then I'm able to start bringing the knees in. I'm able to float directly up to shoulder stand and then start to drop my legs down. So whatever variation you take to get into this plow pose, start to head to that direction. This is again that chance to round the spine the exact opposite of what we were just doing. If your toes touch the ground, you're welcome to release the hands. You can get a deeper shoulder stretch by clasping them together behind you, trying to squeeze them into straight lines. You can always come out if it gets to be too much. I'm going to have us stay just a little bit longer if you're still doing okay. So keep the breaths flowing in and out. Now, when you're ready to come out, we're going to try to go slowly so that we can create as much space as possible in between the vertebrae. So plant the hands on the ground like brakes, and then as slowly as you can possibly take, we gradually return our way back down to the ground. If you're out before others, hug the knees into the chest. You did amazing efforts all throughout class. We're going to wrap up right here just by taking a few wonderful poses on our back to help reteach our spine what this flat, long alignment is. After it having arched so far forward, arched so far back, it's nice for it to just get to rest on the flat ground. So that way it learns that I don't have to stay arched. I don't have to stay hunched. I can just be right here in this nice neutral alignment. So from here, we'll take a gentle twist, release the left leg long to the ground, and take the right knee over to the left side. I like to rest the left hand on that knee to add a little bit of weight so that gravity can do most of the work. But obviously do any variation that's going to be the very kindest for the back right now. No need to push it too far. We're getting to the restorative part of class, where we just want to allow the muscles to have one last chance to get their little, the iffy things out of it. Get the little snap, crackles, and pops gone so that the rest of our day can go forward with a very gentle alignment. Very slowly return that right leg back down to the ground, sliding it long. Once you're there, left knee comes into the chest. Perhaps the right hand is on that left knee to encourage gravity to be our aid as we start to twist over to the right. Returning the hip to the ground, slide this left leg long to the earth again. Right knee comes back in, this time half happy baby pose. We try to slide the right hand to the outside edge of the right foot. The elbow is on the inside of the knee. And then lift this foot up to be stacked above knee. Continue to try to pull the knee down as if we're trying to get it to touch the ground. Just don't let the left hip lift as we're opening out that wide. From here, swing the right hip, swing this right foot over to the left hip. Try to hug your hands around that foot so that you can begin to drop the right knee down. Similar to the arrangement we've been taking several times through class when we had that strap around our back. So try to let it drop down. We're not forcing the knee down, but we're seeing how much rotation we can get the hip to take with the knee. Obviously not hurting anything. It could be practically at the start if that's what feels best. But just trying it out, letting that rotation happen. And then release the right foot, let it go all the way to the ground. Left knee comes in, half happy baby for that side, grab onto the outside edge of the foot. The knee goes wide. Swivel the left foot to the right hip, dropping the knee down if it can make it at all. And then as we release, take one last pose, full happy baby pose. Grabbing onto both feet. The knees are wide. We're gently tugging it, helping the hips and that low back to completely release for us. If you'd like to stay a few more breaths, that's fine. Whenever you're ready to release, find yourself coming into the most comfortable Shavasana that's possible today. Let the breaths flow deep and full. We've got a few minutes just to rest here. Begin to deepen your inhales and your exhales. Little movements return back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretch out like you're waking up first thing in the morning. Eventually taking a nice fetal position off to one side. Another good breath or two. And then we can rise. As you sit up here, feel your spine lifting tall, stacking strong. Feel the shoulders pulling back to be in great posture, maybe even the ears slightly back. Feel the hands joining in front of the heart. And recollecting our class, notice what type of a wheel you were able to reinvent today. Were you able to reinvent the shoulder action of it? Maybe the heart arching part of it. Maybe you were able to lift for the first time, or maybe you found some strength from squeezing the inner thighs together. No matter what we built up today, we're helping to reinvent the wheel, making it just a little bit closer and deeper today than we were before. So with this fun attitude and with this great posture in our spine to help lead us into this day, let's allow ourselves to wrap up the time we got to share together with a sound of Om. Inhaling now. Om. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.